nominees through the Senate in the fastest possible pace in 20 years. We did the longest continuous Senate session, 10 weeks, that we've had in 15 years. And obviously we've rolled back a lot of really onerous and burdensome Biden administration regulations through the Congressional Review Act. We passed Lake and Riley, which the President has signed into law, the halt fentanyl bill. Same thing, been signed into law, most important and consequential, I should say, pieces of legislation. And we passed a budget resolution that sets us up to do the things that we have on our agenda along with President Trump, and that is to extend the Trump tax cuts, obviously to rebuild the military, restore American energy dominance, and secure our southern border, at the same time that we are saving money, finding ways to have the government operate in a less costly and more efficient way in attacking deficit reduction. So I'm hopeful that as we head into this week now, that the House will be able to act on the Senate budget resolution so we can get the reconciliation process started, which is where we actually do the hard work of ensuring that there isn't a $4 trillion tax increase on the American people at the end of the year, where we're actually building the wall and taking the steps to secure our southern border, where we're actually preparing our military to face any of the threats that they face in an increasingly dangerous world, and also lowering the cost of gasoline and other forms of energy in this country through the energy reforms that we intend to make. So we're excited about what we've gotten done so far, but we know there's a lot more work to do, and we intend to work closely with President Trump and his team, with our counterparts in the House of Representatives, as together we move forward with an agenda that is a good one for the American people and deliver on the mandate that we got in the election last November. Questions?
Yeah. Good afternoon. There seems to be some consternation in the House right now about passing the Senate-approved budget resolution. Is what House conservatives are proposing, could that have passed with that level of cuts in the Senate?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what they're.
They want a lot less. They want a much lower or much higher.
I said Meyer. Yeah.
Sorry, they want a much higher spending.
Yeah. Well, and part of what this is all about, obviously, is the Senate. We have different rules that govern and restrictions that are placed through the Byrd Rule on how we act through budget resolutions and ultimately budget reconciliation. And all we simply did was add the Senate basically priorities to the House passed legislation. So we didn't touch the instructions that the House gave. They can proceed with those. And as we get into the reconciliation process, we're going to be very committed to doing as much as we possibly can on deficit reduction. I think, as you saw, there was a number in there. It was a $2 trillion number. The House was at $1.5 trillion when they went through their budget resolution process. But I think right now, in some ways, we're speaking slightly different languages because the House and the Senate operate in such different ways. But at the end of the day, what this does is it unlocks budget reconciliation and unleashes all the things that we want to accomplish on behalf of the American people, and that can only happen when the House and the Senate pass the same budget resolution. So I'm hopeful we'll be able to move on that, get the votes that are necessary to get it across the finish line so we can start the next phase of this, which is really where we start making law and deliver on our agenda.
With respect to tariffs, the White House has said that an additional 50% tariff will go on China if retaliatory tariffs by China are not taken down. This means that, according to some estimates, the tariffs could reach as high as 104%. What do you say to that? And what do you say to the markets in particular, which are very rattled by all of these tariffs?
Well, look, and I think you all have covered this place long enough. I think everybody kind of knows my views on tariffs. But the fact of the matter is the President ran on this. There wasn't a campaign event where he didn't talk about the importance of getting other countries to treat us more fairly when it comes to trade, bilateral trade, multilateral trade in this country. And 77 million people voted for him and his agenda. And I think he deserves the opportunity to see what kind of deals he can get from some of our trading partners. And I think most of us are giving him the space in which to do that and hope that he is successful, because that's good for not only for him and his administration, but it's good for the country.
how important, though, the Chinese market is specifically to South Dakota, soybean exporters. How concerned are you that China says it's going to fight until the end, indicating that they may not reach a deal for months or even longer than that?
Well, and I think there's a lot of rhetoric right now, but I'm hoping that in the end that the Chinese, like a lot of other countries, will come to the table. There is clearly, in my view, room for negotiation that would achieve the objectives the President has laid out, and it could be in the benefit of both the U.S. and China. But at this point, I think where we are right now in the process is the President has made it very clear that he wants changes made, starting with fentanyl and the precursors that the Chinese makes and then distributes and gets into this country. But I think there are other, reciprocal type trading policies that could be implemented if the Chinese will come to the table and work with this administration. But I think you've got to give them room to do what they need to do. And, China right now, that's a lot of hot rhetoric, but they are very dependent upon the U.S. They need us as a market.
Do you think Americans will want to pay more in prices as a result of these policies?
I think at the end of the day, and as I've said this before, and, you asked the question about South Dakota and agriculture, yeah, there are all kinds of implications. There are a lot of very intricate trading relationships that exist today across the world, and, ultimately we don't know what the economic impacts are going to be. We hope that the President is successful, and if he is, and he gets some reciprocity from other countries around the world, this may all be temporary. It may be something that the administration ultimately, adopts a different policy with respect to individual countries that actually come to the table and work out deals. And if they do that, then ultimately I think that's a good thing for the American consumer. But obviously we're all paying attention, and I think the entire country is, to the implications of what's been proposed by the administration. And, clearly we want to see an economy that's stronger and more robust, where you've got more jobs being created in this country, and the income gap in this country closing as we create better paying jobs in a lot of places around the country that have suffered as a result of the loss of the manufacturing base that we've had here for a long time.
What do you make of the idea of raising taxes on the ultra rich, as Andy Harris